Welcome back to Creating Cooperative Kids. I'm your host, Bill Corbett. Bullying is a psychological problem that's not easy to solve. Now, according to the website stopbullying.gov, there are 3 types of bullying: verbal, social, and physical. The site classifies cyberbullying as both verbal and social, carried out using technology. Now, in addition to schoolyards, camps are another place where bullying is carried out. My next guest speaks out on this topic through her novels. Elaine Wolf is known as the anti-bullying novelist who writes about what happens behind school and camp gates. She's the author of the book Danny's Mom, a novel that reveals what really goes on behind closed doors at our schools. Ms. Wolf was a camper herself and a camp counselor before teaching in public schools in California and New York. Welcome to the show, Elaine.
It's so nice to be here, Bill. Thank you for having me.
So the first question is, how did you become known as the anti-bullying novelist?
Well, I have 2 books, actually. Camp was the first book, and Danny's Mom, that you mentioned, was the second book. And when I wrote these books, I didn't set out to write anti-bullying books. I didn't have any intention of becoming the anti-bullying novelist, but because Danny's Mom is set in a school, and the book Camp is set in a girls' sleepaway camp, it was impossible for me not to write about bullying. You know, those mean girl voices and those mean boy voices. They just roared through my mind, and I could not turn them off. And they sort of took over the story. So bullying grew organically in my books, through the characters and through the situation. As I said, I didn't set out to become the anti-bullying novelist. I didn't realize I was writing anti-bullying books. But when the publisher sent the advanced reading copies out to reviewers prior to publication, all the reviewers were commenting on the bullying scenes in both Camp and Danny's Mom. And so that gave me a real platform, a way to come out as the anti-bullying novelist. And it gave me a literal bully pulpit, so to speak. This platform from which I can keep these anti-bullying conversations going until our summer camps and our schools are kinder, gentler, more inclusive places for all kids.
So how did you start writing these stories, though, on this topic? Why this topic?
Well, as I said, the bullying grew organically in the stories, but I'll tell you what sourced both Danny's Mom and Camp. When my son was a young teenager, he was at a sleepaway camp for boys, not very much different from the sleepaway camp for girls in the novel Camp. And it was a very reputable camp. I did all my research. My son loved camp. He came home one summer, as I said, when he was a young teen, and said, "Mom, something really terrible happened this summer. I didn't want to write to you and tell you because I knew you'd be really upset, and I'm okay. But," and again now this is his teen reporting to me, he said, "We went on a sleepover, an overnight, in the middle of the summer, and our counselors took my cabin and another cabin, and we were in the middle of nowhere, and it was night by the time we got there. And according to my son, then a teen, the counselors dropped us off, Mom, on the side of the road with our sleeping bags and said, 'Bye, guys, we'll see you in the morning.'"
You're kidding.
I am not kidding you. And this was a very reputable camp. And my son was a big strapping kid. He said, "It was so scary, Mom. We were in the middle of nowhere. We heard all these animals around us. We didn't know what to do." And when he told me that, I thought a lot about the adults to whom we entrust the safety of our kids. And I know you have adults in your studio audience who are grappling with these questions right now. You know, we send our kids, I'm going to talk to your studio audience for a moment.
That's quite all right.
We send our kids off to summer camp, we send our kids off to school, and we always assume that we are sending them into the care of compassionate, trained, well-intentioned adults. The good news is, most of the time that's true, but sometimes it's not. As you well know. One of the parents in your audience was telling me that she's been dealing with this. So when my son came home from sleepaway camp and told me that story, I started to think a lot about these adults to whom we entrust the safety of our kids. And that question, who are these people and who's really looking out for our kids, haunted me for many years. And that question and my thirst to understand that and to get answers to that question really sourced both Camp and Danny's mom.
Well, the Camp book is in the hands of a 16-year-old who's reading it, and so what I'm hoping will happen is she'll be willing to talk about what she thought about it and what came up for her, and we'll get that to you.
I would love that.
We will have her either write down what she thought after reading it, and I'll email it to you, or I'll have her email you directly.
That would be great, Bill. I hear from teens all the time. I hear from parents all the time. They contact me through my website, author-ElaineWolf.com. I hear from grandparents all the time. I just heard from 3 generations, a mother, a teen daughter, and a grandmother, the mother's mother, in Pennsylvania. The daughter, the young daughter, the granddaughter, I think 13 years old, read Camp and asked her mom to please read it and talk to her about it. The mom read it, went out and bought Danny's mom the other book, and read it and shared it with her mom. And then the 3 of them, the teen, the mother, and the grandmother, got together and did a book talk. And no author could be happier than to hear that. I mean, that was just wonderful.
Now, did either of these books win an award?
Yes, yes. My books have won several awards. Both of them, incidentally, were chosen as Book of the Month, each in turn, by the Holocaust Memorial and Tolerance Center of Nassau County, New York. Now, you might say, why would the Holocaust Center choose Danny's Mom and Camp as Book of the Month? But the Holocaust is very tied into bullying, and Holocaust educators now do a lot of work in anti-bullying programs. So the books were selected as each in turn as Book of the Month, and then I got this wonderful phone call, Bill, from an administrator at the Holocaust Center that they were going to honor me as the Community Upstander of the Year. That was in 2013. Wow. So I had this tremendous honor of being the 2013 Community Upstander for my books, the conversations that they've elicited, and for my work now, my outreach as an anti-bullying speaker.
Do you think that people, when they read the books, they take comfort, especially if they were bullied?
They do. They do take comfort, but more than that, they want people to act. They say, it happened to me, it happens in your books, why aren't we doing more about this? And you know, when my literary agent first sent out Camp and Danny's Mom to editors, publishing houses, it was before bullying was front and center in our national conversation. And so my agent got responses that were almost all the same. Love the book, love the story, love the characters, love the writing, but bullying, that's too small a story. Who wants to hear about a kid being bullied? And then all of a sudden, we started to see in our newspapers all the horrendous stories of the kids who took their own lives because they were tormented, and everybody then wanted these books.
So we only got a couple minutes left. Is there any advice you can offer parents about bullying?
Sure. Now, I must tell you, I'm not an anti-bullying expert. I'm the author of these books, but I've learned an awful lot about bullying since I wrote these books. So the first thing, let me talk to the young people in your audience first.
Yeah, we only have about a minute.
Okay. You want to make sure you know a trusted adult in your school or in your life, somebody to whom you can go, and anytime you have a problem, you go to that person. Most important thing is to tell somebody. The bullies are not going to go away by themselves, and they're not going to go away if you ignore them. And parents, believe what your children tell you. Our children are not lying to us when they tell us what's going on in school. Make sure that your children know that they can talk to you about anything, that you will always believe them, and that you will always be there to support them with love and with good parenting, as Bill and Peggy and Jane have talked about today.
And I think it's good points, very good points. It's also important to remember, also, if you find yourself in a bullying situation, the only way that a bully is successful if you allow yourself to be the victim, which means I don't care how goofy or how uncomfortable you feel, you scream, back off, or stop, and you run, you get away from them, and do not let them overpower you, because that's what they're hoping to do. And if you make enough noise and get out of there, then it's very likely they're going to lose their bullying power.
Right. Well, bullying is a power play. That's exactly what it is, Bill. And so what I often tell kids, I speak to lots of kids now, is don't participate in that. Be an upstander, not a bystander. If you see somebody being bullied, don't give the bully power by participating. Walk away and take your friends with you.
Yes. Tell
Tell your friends, hey, this isn't okay, and walk away. And then tell a responsible adult. And I know that together we really will make our schools and our camps kinder, gentler places. I see it all over. I hear it when I speak. The books, Camp, and Danny's Mom are good springboards to conversations. We have to keep those conversations going.
Well, thank you so much for coming out and sharing your books with us.
Well, thank you for having me.
I wish you much success with your books, and that's great they're being recognized. And I will get back to you on the comments from my little readers.
I would love that.
I know I can speak for most parents that we want nothing but the best for our children, and setting them up for success is what we want the most. That's what we learn on today's show, and in so many different ways. First, I showed you a process for reconnecting with your kids that would increase your success with them listening more and cooperating. Then family coach Peggy Hoyme showed us how we play a vital role in setting our kids up for success in school and beyond. And writer Jane Pearl gave us tips on setting our kids up for success with money. Finally, novelist Elaine Wolf offered some advice on dealing with bullying situations in school and at camp. I hope you'll join me and tune in for future episodes as I offer more tools to help you rebuild your parenting toolbox as an awesome parent or teacher. Now, if you're watching this on DVD or online and you'd like to get it on your local public access channel, contact my office to find out how. See, making the world a better place to live begins at home as engaged, encouraged, and masterful parents. I'm Bill Corbett. I'll see you the next time on Creating Cooperative Kids.
Sleep with the lights off.